A United Airlines 737 crashes in Colorado. All 25 aboard are killed. And Iraq's defeated generals accept America's terms for ending the Gulf War.
From ABC News, World News Sunday, here's Carol Simpson.
Iraq formally accepted President Bush's terms for peace today. And tonight, Iraq's ambassador to the United Nations says he believes Iraq has already released 10 prisoners of war as a gesture of goodwill, 6 of them Americans and one of the Americans a woman. We'll have a complete report on events in the Gulf today in a moment. But first, the search for clues in the crash of United Airlines Flight 585, which took off from Peoria, Illinois this morning, stopped in Moline, then in Denver, but never made it to its final destination, Colorado Springs. ABC's Tom Foreman is in Widefield, Colorado, where the plane went down.
I was in my house when the time it happened. I heard an airplane fly over, and then we heard this boom.
The impact of the United 737 shook the tiny town of Widefield, sending flames roaring through the quiet of a Sunday morning. A home video camera captured those first few moments after the plane crashed in a park with homes on both sides.
It looked like it was hanging a hard right, and it just turned, and it went straight down nose first, and then I felt the boom, and I took off running to get help.
There was no flames in the sky. When I saw it when it came over, I didn't pay any attention to it any more than any other plane that came over, and it just fell straight. It just nosed straight in.
The plane was about 4 miles from the Colorado Springs Municipal Airport, descending after a short flight from Denver. The FAA says the pilot's communications with the tower were normal, with no signs that anything was wrong. This afternoon, investigators were looking for any clues as to why the plane went down.
We can't even find a chair, and there's supposed to be 100 and some odd seats involved on that type of an airplane, and I haven't seen a seat out of the airplane at all.
In Chicago, United Airlines had this to say.
The last inspection would have occurred before it departed from Denver. There was always an inspection before an aircraft departs. It had its routine maintenance inspections throughout its history, had its heavy maintenance check at the appropriate time, and importantly, we have no reported deferred maintenance items.
It has been extremely windy here all day, but no one is blaming the weather yet. Instead, authorities are waiting for the arrival of the National Transportation Safety Board investigative team this evening to figure out what went wrong. Tom Foreman, ABC News, Widefield, Colorado.
Late today, searchers at the scene found Flight 585's black box, which should help investigators figure out why the plane went down. There was another plane crash today, in this case a small military jet in suburban Chicago. The 3 crewmen aboard the Navy training plane were killed. The jet went down in the middle of a residential street and broke apart on impact. Now the Persian Gulf. The beginning of the formal Persian Gulf peace came today in a tent in the Iraqi desert. Iraq's defeated generals sat down with members of the Allied command and agreed to America's terms for ending the war. ABC's Sheila McVicker was there.
The Iraqi generals arrived at the meeting in American vehicles, escorted by American tanks, with Apache helicopters hovering overhead, coming face to face with a force that routed the Iraqi army. It was a scene set by the commander of Desert Storm, General Norman Schwarzkopf. But even in victory, General Schwarzkopf didn't want to deny the Iraqis their dignity.
Now, I don't want them embarrassed in any way, right? No, sir. Okay, I don't want them humiliated.
So the Iraqi generals, already disarmed, were taken into a tent to be searched again, out of range of the cameras. And in a 2-hour meeting that one coalition commander described as cold but determined, the Iraqi generals did agree to all Allied demands. They included the immediate release of prisoners of war and of Kuwaiti civilians held by the Iraqis, information about those missing in action, and the location of minefields in Kuwait and in international waters. At the end, the Iraqi generals saluted the man who had planned their defeat. There were no documents signed. On a handshake, the Iraqis agreed to begin to work towards peace. Most important for the Allies was the agreement on prisoners of war.
We have also asked that as a token of good faith on both sides, that we have a symbolic release immediately.
General Schwarzkopf said this was not the formal end to the war, but the beginning of a process that will lead to a truce.
The Allied commanders say they believe the Iraqis they met with today can deliver on the ceasefire conditions they discussed. But just in case something goes wrong, the Allied commanders also warned that they are prepared to resume fighting anytime. Sheila McVicker, ABC News, in the Safwan airfield in Allied-occupied Iraq.
And what of Iraqi President Saddam Hussein? Today, Iraqi television released these pictures, reportedly shot Saturday, which show Saddam meeting with his aides. They were supposedly talking about the restoration of electricity and other public services throughout the country. The Palestine Liberation Organization, which supported Saddam Hussein in the war, is calling on Arab states to take immediate measures to protect Palestinians in Kuwait. ABC's Jim Hickey, who is in Kuwait City, reports that the situation there is one of lawlessness and bedlam, and ethnic groups like the Palestinians are very much at risk.
There was rough treatment today as Kuwaitis continued their roundup of suspected Iraqi collaborators. Kuwaiti anger over what has happened to them seems to be spreading. Palestinians and Kurds in this ethnic neighborhood are worried Kuwaiti vengeance may spiral out of control. Najid Ridha has lived in Kuwait for 40 years, but because he comes from Kurdistan, which is in Iraq, Ridha fears reprisals from the Kuwaiti resistance against his family.
I'm afraid maybe they attack us. No government now. Almost all this people are Malaysian.
The irony is that Rihad, with his ID card identifying his Iraqi birthplace, doesn't blame the Kuwaitis for their anger.
Because they have reason, sir. They have reason.
This is one of the reasons. Reportedly, 3,000 victims of Iraqi aggression are buried in this cemetery. Kuwaitis are taking it out on those they believe helped Iraq, like Palestinians.
They should get out of Kuwait. We don't need them. What the for?
The PLO did support Iraq in the Gulf War. Palestinians here say they are caught because of that.
Not all of the Palestinians they were supporting Saddam.
There is no formal law and order here yet, and it is that lack of control that international relief workers are worried about. Jim Hickey, ABC News, Kuwait.
And there were more indications today of lawlessness and chaos, perhaps even an anti-Saddam rebellion in Iraq's second biggest city, Basra. Those indications come from kidnapped Kuwaitis who are now free and on their way home. More from ABC's Mike Lee.
American troops now control Iraq's southernmost border post leading to Kuwait. Customs inspection stations, temples of authority, are destroyed. Down the road behind me is the Iraqi city of Basra, where thousands of kidnapped civilians from Kuwait were put into prison. Now that the war is over, the story of what happened inside Basra is beginning to come to light. In small groups, they are walking out of Iraq toward Kuwait. It is a grueling trip. They tell of being abducted at random in Kuwait for not having Iraqi ID papers, of crowded prison conditions, and of very little food to eat.
Very hungry. Yesterday, American people gave food very good. Yesterday, now no hungry.
Amid this exodus are eyewitness accounts of Iraqi public anger toward Saddam. These foreign workers say that in Basra, they were rescued from prison by armed and angry anti-Saddam crowds.
They break the locks and they said, everybody go out, you are free today. We are against the Saddam. And they're starting to curse Saddam and he said the Saddam is finished.
Along the road, there are acts of compassion. A Kuwaiti family buries an Iraqi soldier. At night, when Iraq's vandalism is most visible, a U.S. Army driver helps some women who only want to return to their jobs as housemaids. Mike Lee, ABC News, Kuwait.
Coming up, Sudafed 12-hour capsules are being recalled nationwide amid evidence of fatal drug tampering. And later in this broadcast, 2 more Baltic republics defy the Kremlin by voting today on independence. And some of the news that took a back seat to Operation Desert Storm.
World News Sunday, brought to you by New Concentrated Phillips.
I wish I didn't have to take a laxative. Phillips, right, but it's gonna taste chalky. I still won't like the flavor. Well, all right. Hey, that didn't taste like Phillips. Sold.
Did you know there are two types of bills? The kind everybody loves to get and the kind everybody hates to get. Now, if your small business is using another long-distance company, send us your last bill, switch to AT&T Pro Watts, and you'll save up to 1,000 of these bills. What's more, with Pro Watts, you'll be getting AT&T quality at an extremely competitive price. So call now, because you can never have too many bills. I mean these bills, not these bills. Up to $1,000 savings. Another AT&T advantage.
From the state of Washington comes frightening news of deadly tampering. 2 people have died and a third became seriously ill after taking Sudafed 12-hour capsules laced with cyanide. As Bettina Gregory reports, the poisonings have led to a nationwide recall.
It's only this product, Sudafed 12-hour capsules, that are being recalled. But they're being pulled off the shelves in the state of Washington after an autopsy revealed that a Tacoma woman died of cyanide poisoning last month after taking Sudafed. Then it was discovered a man from the Seattle area had died after taking Sudafed.
It was only when we had a second case and found out that the code numbers matched that we said, hey, it's not what we originally thought. It does appear to be a tampering. We need to get the information out.
Jennifer Mealing from Olympia, Washington, was hospitalized after taking Sudafed laced with cyanide.
No, it was so fast. It was I probably went into a coma within, I would say, 30 seconds.
The poison pills were contained in blister packs, which evolved after the Tylenol poisonings years ago. But officials point out any capsule may still be tampered with before it is packaged. Bettina Gregory, ABC News, Washington.
In the Soviet Union, less than a month after Lithuania voted overwhelmingly for independence, 2 other Baltic republics held referenda of their own today. In Latvia and Estonia, voters cast their ballots, and the outcome is virtually assured. ABC's Rick Inderfirth reports first from Estonia.
Throughout the day, citizens of this tiny Baltic state of just 1.5 million people came to the polls. The turnout was large, and predictions were for an overwhelming vote in favor of secession.
My life to say yes to the independence.
Also voting in favor, a sizable number of Estonia's Russian-speaking citizens who make up almost a third of the population.
Quite a few are, because the Soviet system has not shown any signs of improvement. If anything, it has got worse. And people are intelligent, they can compare.
And that comparison is stark. You don't see department stores like this one in Moscow. Estonia has always been the most prosperous of the Soviet republics. It is likely to become even more prosperous as an independent state. Also voting today, neighboring Latvia. Here too the vote was expected to be in favor of independence. While both votes today are non-binding, President Gorbachev has already declared them illegal. He wants all Soviet republics to take part in a national referendum later this month on whether they want the Soviet Union to remain intact. But at least 6 of the 15 Soviet republics, including the Baltic states, have said they will not take part in President Gorbachev's referendum. As one Baltic leader put it, since we see the future of our republics outside the Soviet Union, it would not be appropriate for us to vote on whether the Soviet Union should be preserved. Rick Inderfirth, ABC News, in the Estonian capital of Tallinn.
When we return, how a short war produced a long-term environmental nightmare.
17% this, 18% that. It seems that every cooking oil these days is throwing numbers around. But only one type of oil stands out as being lowest in saturated fat, the oil that's found in Puritan. 94% saturated fat-free. Half the saturated fat of corn oil. How many leading brands of oil can say that? Just one. Puritan. Make it your oil for life.
In the midday sun, a gentle breeze, the embrace of wide eyes. Remember these, the touch, the feel, the fabric of our lives. The touch, the feel of cotton, the fabric of our lives.
To get rid of her gray, my wife can spend 40 minutes. But I discovered this 5-minute hair coloring.
The revolutionary discovery called Just for Men from the leader in men's hair coloring. Simply apply Just for Men and in 5 minutes shampoo out.
Gray is blended away. The look of my natural color is back in 5 minutes. That was me, and it won't fade or wash out.
My hair takes forever, but you look great in just 5 minutes.
The look of your natural color in just 5 minutes with Just for Men.
A contagious flu is still spreading. Now reported in 48 states. And the season is not over. If you are stricken with the flu, what will you do? Doctors recommend Theraflu. Theraflu is hot liquid medicine. Strong therapy for flu symptoms. Hot liquid therapy that works fast. What will you do when you get the flu? Doctors recommend Theraflu. Strong therapy for flu symptoms.
For the duration of the war, casualties were counted in numbers of troops killed or tanks and aircraft destroyed. Now that the war is over, it appears one of the largest casualties is the environment. As John Lawrence reports, there is no way to calculate the loss.
Almost all of the daily oil production of Kuwait is going up in smoke. Black sulfurous clouds have turned day into night. The once beautiful waters of the Gulf have turned from blue to black. And large areas of the Arabian desert have become death traps.
This war is virtually the nightmare scenario. It's arguably the most environmentally damaging war in history.
The retreating Iraqis set fire to an estimated 600 of Kuwait's oil wells, creating clouds of oily smoke that are polluting the atmosphere as far away as Turkey and Pakistan. The environmental consequences of the oil clouds are not known. It is expected to take several months, perhaps a year, to put all the fires out.
And whenever it rains out, that rain will be both black but also very acid, and that could have effects on water supplies, and particularly it could damage crops.
200 to 300 million gallons of oil have spilled into the Gulf, causing an ecological crisis.
The oil spill itself has already destroyed the fisheries, has destroyed thousands of birds, and could well be affecting the health of the Gulf itself for decades to come.
Thousands of square miles of desert have been made deadly by the planting of millions of mines. It now seems possible that the war has caused more lasting and widespread damage to nature than to most of the humans who fought it. John Lawrence, ABC News, Dhahran.
Think you can mix a bowl of cereal with more vitamin and mineral nutrition than Total?
With all this stuff, I know I can do that.
Not enough calcium.
Some of that. A little bit of this here, one here.
Still not enough calcium. For vitamin and mineral nutrition, nothing can top Total. Nothing.
Oh, come on now. Then we'll put...
Good morning, Lupe.
Good morning.
Think you can mix a bowl of cereal with more vitamin and mineral nutrition than Total?
No. Sorry.
When it comes to vitamin and mineral nutrition, nothing can top Total. Nothing.
My grandfather loved the unknown. I want a sure thing. I drive a new kind of Oldsmobile, the all-new Bravada, perfect for this jungle because it's got Smart Trap, a new anti-lock braking and all-wheel drive system that automatically sends power to the wheel that needs it. So I'm ready for the unexpected, whether I'm traveling across the river and into the trees.
This is the new generation.
Or just visiting your old man in the sea.
Bravada, engineered for the unexpected.
You know, I've always wondered about a lot of margarines and spreads that say they have a buttery taste, and you pin them down, there's no butter in them. Read the label on Kraft Touch of Butter spread and see for yourself. It's made with creamy, rich butter. Yep, just a touch. So when Kraft Touch of Butter says buttery taste, there's no doubt about it. I wouldn't serve anything less. Kraft Touch of Butter. A touch of real butter makes a real difference.
In most commercials for Choice Hotels International, someone famous pops out of a suitcase. But the star of this commercial is the Choice Yellow Ribbon Fund, created for the American Red Cross. To support our troops and their families, we're donating $5 for every reservation made and used through our special 800 number at a Quality, Comfort, Clarion, Sleep, Roadway, Friendship, or Econo Lodge hotel. The Choice Yellow Ribbon Fund, Call 1-800-4CHOICE. You'll be doing your part for those who are doing theirs.
His AIDS drug rejected in America as worthless. Now this man is experimenting with it on desperate AIDS babies in Romania. Primetime investigates Thursday.
Now let's go to Ray Gandolf in New York for a look at how pugilist Mark Breland's life is imitating his art and today's sports highlights. Ray?
Thank you, Carol. Young Patrick McEnroe sassed his big brother today by winning the first set of the final of the Volvo of Chicago tournament. But John recovered and spanked the kid in 3 sets. It was the first final matching the brothers, and youth was not served. With Jim Jackson scoring 20 points, Ohio State clinched the Big Ten basketball championship, holding on for a 1-point win over Michigan State. Well, prize fighting can be hazardous to your health. Trying to be an actor can damage your psyche. Here's a story about a young man who does both.
It happens all of a sudden. See, a fighter gets good, gets graceful, and gets easy. He learns how to save himself with no energy wasted.
Mark Breland, actor, on stage with the Trinity Repertory Company in Providence, Rhode Island, in that sturdy old vehicle from the 1930s, Golden Boy.
I understand you to say that he's a bullseye for a straight shot on the inside. It's live, and you mess up, you have to clean it up right away. You know, and just like boxing, if you mess up, you clean it up where you go.
Mark Breland knows boxing. Winner of 110 amateur fights, an Olympic gold medalist in 1984, and twice the WBA welterweight champion of the world. He defended his title last July against Aaron Davis and messed up good. In the 9th round of a fierce and bloody brawl, Breland walked into a right-hand punch and went down like a tree. His manager and others have advised Breland to quit the ring, that at 27 he should hang up the gloves. Breland is not buying. You want Davis again?
Oh, yeah. And a few more. You know, you're going to have your critics and people say this about you and that about you, but they're not in here. I'm the one in here. If they can do it, they will be in here.
During the 4-week run of the play, Breland worked out in a gym. He sparred with local amateurs, keeping in shape for the boxing career he does not want to end. And Golden Boy profited from his knowledge.
Everything that I've done on stage, the way I look, the way I punch, everything is all Mark.
He's come into a situation that was foreign to him, and he made it his home.
Hey, Joe, look.
He's raw, but he's truthful, and you can't teach that. You know, I'll take that any day.
See, Joe, your heart's not in fighting, man. Your hate is. And a man with hate is nothing else but a half a man. And a half a man is no man.
Right now, Mark Breland is 2 men, an old fighter and a young actor. And he's feeling just fine.
It feels good. I mean, it's a great feeling, you know, to have people clap and stand up for you. It's a great feeling. It's sort of like winning a championship.
And it's a lot less painful than losing a championship. Carol?
Thanks, Ray. When we come back, all the news there wasn't room for during the Gulf War.
Eating the right foods can fill you with painful gas. That's why you may need Gas X for fast gas pain relief. Relief antacids can't give you. So eat right and feel right with Gas X.
Did you know if you're not using the AT&T network, your company waits over 40% longer for long-distance calls to connect?
I'm gonna wait till the midnight hour when there's no one else around. I'm gonna wait till the midnight hour.
Without AT&T, in 1 year you may end up paying people thousands of dollars to wait.
I'm gonna wait till the
Faster connections, another AT&T advantage.
When it's heartburn,
plus gas.
Get new Tom's Plus, calcium-rich antacid relief plus gas-busting simethicone.
No other antacid gives you that.
New Tom's Plus.
The Gulf War aftermath, Monday. What will it take to rebuild Kuwait?
Also, how to survive when recession hits home. Also, Paul Simon here on Good Morning America, Monday.
Finally this evening, all the news that fits and a great deal which did not. Since the war began, a lot of what's gone on around the world has hardly been reported, with the war news so consuming of television and the newspapers. So tonight, to get us up to date, here's ABC's Jed Duval.
It would have been all over the front pages. Sears Roebuck, the 100-year-old American retailer, suffering so that it cut back, laying off 33,000. Eastern Airlines had a hangar sale. Glasses, cups, tiny bottles of liquor. That airline's collapse and troubles at several other lines brought 40,000 layoffs. As demand for cars shrinks, the layoffs in the American auto industry reached 100,000 jobs. The federal deficit is an old story. Both the story and the deficit are bigger. As the war began, the deficit reached a new record, $318 billion. That's for this year. The total that the U.S. government will owe in 1992 is now a 4 with 12 zeros attached. $4 trillion. While we were watching the war, California dried up. The drought is 5 years old. Rain fell this week, but not enough to lift the severe restrictions on the use of water. McDonald's had led the way from styrofoam back to paper for environmental reasons. Now a new study of the manufacture of each claims that, environmentally speaking, styrofoam is really better. Remember the headlines when Skylab, the American space station, fell out of the sky 12 years ago?
Skylab fell from its orbit.
It was a big deal then, but we hardly noticed when a Soviet satellite, a 43-ton space station the size of a railroad car, came down. People quietly picked up a few pieces that landed in a trash dump in Argentina. Another big story lost in the fury is the arson case in Florida. Churches being burned, deliberately. 11 of them in 1 month. An ecumenical arsonist at work. So far, no arrests, no explanations. Other stories eclipsed? The formal breakup of the Warsaw Pact, the communist alliance opposite NATO. The troubles with arms control talks with the Soviet Union, talks that had been getting somewhere and have now gone sour. The $42 million in new military aid to El Salvador.
A-50s?
The problems in American banks. The worry over deposit insurance. Also lost in the smoke of the Gulf War, other wars. More than a dozen are still being fought around the world. In Liberia, for example, where more than 10,000 people, mostly civilians, have been killed. In Somalia, too, thousands have lost their lives in another bloody civil war. Events of enormous importance, all hardly noticed in the coverage of the Gulf War. Jed Duval, ABC News, Washington.
And that's our report for tonight. I'm Carol Simpson. Good night.
This has been a presentation of ABC News. More Americans get their news from ABC News than from any other source.
Sunday.
Go get him, boy.
Who is he?
Dead or alive, you are coming with me.
The ultimate cop is cleaning up the streets. RoboCop. Sunday. Parental discretion is advised.
Understand, this is nothing personal. It's business. Before we get started, what do you want on your tombstone?
Mushrooms and red peppers. I'm trying to eat light.
Right. Joey, Tombstone Light.
Introducing 90% fat-free Tombstone Light Pizza. Lean meats and special toppings make Tombstone Light 90% fat-free and delicious. So what do you want on your tombstone?
This is gonna make a big splash.
Channel 2's Ann Holt is on your side.